Hey there folks, this is Random Game Channel. I wanted to share with everyone kind of like my thought processes behind building a base. Now the stuff you'll see here, it could be right, it could be wrong, it could work or it could not. But I just want to share everyone, what goes through my mind when I'm building a base. So I'll take you through it. Okay, so depending on the game mode, there's going to be different key structures that you're going to need to defend. If it's horde mode, you're going to have to defend the mobile HQ. Now, if it's advanced and secure AAS or arc slam mode, you're going to want to protect the arc slam structure. And you don't really need to worry all too much about the mobile HQ, but just keep in mind that the mobile HQ is where people will respawn on if they happen to die. But for me, I'm going to just show you how I built this base up, and we could just pretend that this is a horde mode. So instead of like building up the entire shell of the base, you want to focus first on the mobile HQ or whatever the key component that you need to defend, like the arc. The reason why is because sometimes there's mutators that will like allow bugs to ambush you, and sometimes if the threat level is like pretty high, they're gonna kind of overwhelm troopers, and they're gonna potentially do some damage to your key components like mobile HQ or like the arc slam. So what I always like to do first is build up immediately around that component. In this case it'll be walls, and then it'll be a small gate. Now, I've seen some people where you could put a small gate all around it, but it costs resource to put down, or it costs more resource to put down small gates versus a wall. So as you can see, a wall, it's only going to be 200 ore, but then with a small gate it's going to be 250. Again, depending on the game mode, it might matter a little bit more about what you build first. So if it's like horde, you're going to have enough to do, let's see, 1, 2, 3 walls, and then a small gate, and then you can start building up some of the perimeter. So like those 50 points each, they kind of matter. But anyways, let's not worry about limitations. But when you are building, a small gate, you want to place it in front of the front of this mobile HQ, because the troopers will spawn facing outwards from the entrance here. The entrance can be designated by where the little display screen is right there. So just make sure you put the small gate there, because inside this little grid is going to be really small and hard to maneuver in, so it's important to put the exit entrance of this portion here right in front. After that, you can start expanding. As you can see, I try to make some little kill zones here with the bunkers forward of the walls. That way you can clean up the bugs a little bit easier, and it keeps the bugs from climbing over the walls if you can't clear the corpses in time. So it's kind of what I did around here. You can build short walls on top of walls and bunkers. Not a lot of people do that, but occasionally you might see me doing that in the gameplay. The reason why I like putting these up occasionally is because sometimes there'll be a lot of gunners. Other troopers aren't really managing them, so they're going to be sniping a lot. So to get around that, to provide more cover if you're going to be fighting on top of structures, you can put up these short walls and kind of like hide behind them. And the cool thing with the short walls, as you can see, there's like this little cutout that you can like shoot through. So utilize that to your advantage, because the gunners won't be able to shoot through that. Okay, so I'm a really big fan of layered defense. It's just a really nice way of like compartmentalizing, if that's even the right word. Or I can probably just say like, sectioning off parts of the base. For instance, if this bunker were to be destroyed, this little grid right here will be able to contain the breach. And if this section of the grid goes down, troopers can always rally here on this third layer. And it's a really nice way to just fall back, and you don't have to necessarily worry about repairing the first layer all the time. But of course, it's always a good idea to try to build it back up so you don't get overwhelmed on the internal parts of the base. Also, one thing you want to do is build the auto sentry turrets, or what do they call it here? Sentry MGs. Sometimes I see people build it right in the center. It's gonna kind of limit how much this thing can shoot at, because it also needs line of sight, right? So if the auto sentry turret is built back there, it won't really be able to see anything here. It won't be able to shoot too many bugs. But with the auto sentry being forward of the bunker, it'll be able to shoot at the bugs directly underneath it. Whereas if you place it in the center, it's not going to have an easy time to do that because it can't see. So let's kind of check out what that looks like. And it doesn't matter which direction you build this in, this thing will swivel on a 360-degree pivot. Alright, so imagine that I'm a bug. I'm coming in here. It can still see me. It can still shoot me. But as soon as the bug, or me, gets here, the auto sentry turret's not going to see me. So that's what I mean by, saying it's a good idea to build it forward of the bunker, or on the very edge. That way, the auto sentry can maximize as much line of sight as possible. And let's just imagine this is the auto sentry point of view. It's going to be able to shoot everything directly underneath it. But if it's back here, it's not going to be able to see at the very edge of the bunker. Right, only up to really the shadow right there. So that's something to keep in mind. I always like trying to place them on the edge here. So as far as the twin MG emplacement goes, just try to make sure that your line of sight is pretty clear. I like to put it on the very edge of the bunker. I've seen some troopers place the twin MG turrets on the wall. You just need to make sure you can fit the ammo stockpile pretty close. You can rotate it and it'll fit this way, which is nice. So let's keep that in mind. Make sure you have lots of ramps. Ideally, if it was up to me to design a whole base by myself, I like to put like in a grid, one ramp, this direction, one ramp that way. This is a nice idea because, if troopers are coming from this way and they want to go to this wall, they can go there. If they're on the ground and they want to go this way, they can just easily take the ramp. Of course, you can always jump across, but this helps spread out like the avenues you can take to traverse the inside parts of your base. Kind of same setup here. I really like how this looks and how many options troopers can take to move around. To me, it feels pretty efficient. But of course, that's always up to other people's opinions and what they think of it. I could be wrong, but who knows, right? Sometimes people might argue with you about putting the auto sentry forward because it's sticking out. Bugs may attack it first before hitting the bunker, and that's a totally valid point too. But if you put it back here, you're gonna severely limit the line of sight and the angles that this thing can shoot at, because everything's gonna be 360 degrees movement on this thing, like even on the actual machine gun parts itself here. Now this is what I like to call like a mini layering. By itself, the electrical fence isn't gonna hold up to too much damage, and to kind of like increase its durability, right? You can just put a bunch of like short walls in front of it. You could put like a single layer in front and a single layer in back. That way, the first short wall goes down, and the bugs will eat through the electrical fence. Then after that, you have one more layer of short walls that the bugs will need to chew through. Now, the cool thing about the electrical fence is that you can put the short wall like one kind of like small little grid in front of it, and the electrical wall will shock arachnids up to this distance. And that's not going to go as far as like the second wall here. We'll definitely shock bugs up to here. That's like the limit of where the electrical wall can shock things. Just a little tip. And if you have the resources, you can always build an MG to an MG emplacement in front here. In this case, I designed it where there's like two. You can have overlapping fields of fire. You can imagine if there's going to be lots of bugs spawning on this side, this place will be totally covered. And as you can see, the angles of which you can shoot bugs at is going to be pretty great. Of course, they can't shoot anything directly below it, but you can shoot pretty clear up to the electrical fence, no problem. Ideally, if there was actually enough resources, I'd build 2 more layers of short walls here, but unfortunately, you get a maximum of like 30 short walls. So that's something keep in mind on, keep an eye out for. Also, another thing with the stuff that you can build on top of structures, you can put ammo stacks, the ammo crates. You could put all fabricators on top of bunkers, structures, like the walls, things like that. Sometimes it could be a little tricky to build those things. The center always seems to be a good spot, no matter what direction it's facing. Not so much on kind of like the perimeter. Well, maybe like right there seems to work, but you gotta like kind of play around with it. Sometimes it won't register right away. I think probably because it's like the little handle that sticks out, it won't let it build this way. But you know, there you go. As you can see, you want to put this stuff as close to these turrets as possible. You don't want to put this inside the bunker or on the ground, because it's just going to take a long time to get the ammo up here and reload. So let's demonstrate that. If this was like on the ground, like you can still reload the auto sentry from here, but like if you need to go all the way up, right? Look how much time it takes to get back up here. So I always recommend putting it on top. Also, if like this wall breaches, or this wall is breached, bugs will swarm in here. You won't be able to get the ammo. Then these things will be running dry and be more susceptible to more breaches on this quadrant here. You can also build some towers. I often don't do it, but it might be nice to build some throughout the base. I have heard that grenadier bugs like to target these things first. So sometimes you'll see people build it randomly on like the very perimeter of the base. So that's something you can try too. You can kind of build it anywhere. Let's see what it looks like. You can build it on the wall, you can rotate it, add another like vertical access point. You can build it in the center. Just keep in mind, like if it's really tight and compact like this, it'll make the base feel a little more clustered, or feel more claustrophobic and less efficient to traverse in. Yeah. So another thing that people don't often do, because maybe they just don't want to build it. I'm not really sure why, but sometimes you'll be kind of like a dark environment where it's like the sun's starting to go down. As you can see here, we're starting to get into like kind of like nighttime, evening setting. So this part of the base is getting pretty dark, right? So imagine if this was like the pitch black mutator, you can't see any further than a few feet in front of you. That's going to be really hard to see. But if we turn this on, look how much like land this thing can cover with its light. It's pretty bright. You can turn it on and off. This is what the area looks like when you have the light off, and this is what it looks like when you have it on. Occasionally, when I find myself in like very low light settings, this is the thing I like to build. It helps everyone out. So this is more examples of mini layering, both in the front and back. Having multiple layers of these short walls can actually make a difference and slow down a breach. Some people might laugh at it and say it's like a waste of resources, but from what I've experienced in this game, it makes a difference. Also, some people might get mad about how you build the bunker, like the direction of this thing, because the drones can go in here and attack you, but that's like the only bug that will do that. The other bugs are too big to fit. But sometimes people will complain about it, like, oh, you're gonna let the bugs in. If you go inside the bunker, it's just a death sentence. You're just gonna die in there because you can't exit. But you know that's also a valid point. But if you need to get inside, you need to get inside, especially if there's going to be inferno bugs in your operating area, because one inferno bug can lock down the entire like top portion of a bunker because the flames will persist for like I think like a few seconds. That's enough time to like lock things down. So sometimes it's a good idea to fight on the inside. So that's something to keep in mind. You know, I personally don't like to, you know, go into verbal or text-based arguments with people. So that's something I just don't like doing. People sometimes are just very resistant to change or like looking at other people's viewpoints that I'd rather not, you know, get caught up in those kind of arguments. Like, I just want to play the game. One of the bigger reasons why I don't, you know, go on open voice communication during the game. That's just something I'd like to let you know, just in case you're wondering why I never talk at all in my gameplay videos. But anyways, the bunker is cool when you kind of build it forward of some of the walls. You can see that you can get good line of sight on the sides here. Bugs will just potentially just swarm this section. You can you know, kill the bugs as they go in. If you're the engineer with the right perks, you can even repair long distance. It's pretty safe, you know, when you're inside the bunker like that. So this is kind of nice to try. Give it a go, see if you like this particular idea. So this is what I was talking about, where you can like build short walls on top of bunkers. You know, if there's gunners, you can shoot through here, no problem. Gunners won't be able to hit you back through this little opening. It's great to just, you know, crouch behind, or in this case, I'm not even crouching. Now I am. It will protect yourself from gunners. You can also hide behind ammo stacks and ammo crates, like the one over there. They will protect you from the gunner's projectiles. So yeah. But I really like, you know, the layer defense. It just makes the base, you know, stand on its own a lot longer than if you just build like a single set of walls along the perimeter and call it a day. So yeah, I think this is the last part we have to go through. So another really cool thing I sometimes like to build, or like I've seen people do, is like on the electrical fence they build a tower. And you could kind of use it as like a nice vantage point. You know, you can look all the way down, you can shoot through the gaps here. And the bugs will try to, oops, fell down. Will try to attack the tower and your short walls. But you know, it'll keep the fence alive a lot longer than if it was just by itself. So it's a nice little thing you can try building. Just make sure that you always have your gates closed, especially during heavy combat situations. You don't want anything slipping through. So ideally, you want to keep the gate closed. So yeah, that's my base design. Hope everyone likes it. Yeah, I'll see you on the field, troopers.